Let's get it started. Killing it, Robert. Loving the tech house tune. Really bouncy, groovy. Definitely a club banger. Some feedback for Robert. Go ahead and type away in the chat what you liked and what you think can be improved about this song. So I'll hop right into the feedback here. One of the main things that I think could be improved with this song is the dynamics of the track. And I think I wanted to hear the bass line a bit more impactful in the mix. It seemed like everything was a little bit too over-limited, is what I'm trying to say. It's too over-limited, and there was really not much of a dynamic range. So there wasn't really that much of an energy shift from section to section. Now I know this isn't like a dubstep track where, the difference between the breakdown and the drop is just night and day, the dynamic range. But I feel like it can be improved with less limiting. And, with these types of tracks, the drums and your bass line is the driving force of your track. And with it being flattened out, it sounded like it was flattened out the bass line. You could hear the tone, nice tone to the bass line. I like the notes that you played for the bass, but it just needed to be more impactful. It needed to have more dynamic range. It needed to have more bite to the bass. And I think reducing some of the limiting to allow the dynamic range, to allow it to breathe a bit, would benefit this. So yeah, I would just reduce some of the limiting on this and see how that sounds. Maybe try adding like a transient shaper to the bass line, give it more attack. Again, want it to be, a little more punchy in the mix. And when you reduce the dynamic range in a mix, it's less punchy. The transients really get flattened out. Yeah, I think just the overall track sounded a bit too limited. So that was really my main piece of feedback for the track. The arrangement was solid. I liked the vocal. The bass line was good. A lot of variation in the drums. And yeah, I really just think you should look into the limiting of it. It's so easy to get caught up in just, trying to limit the track as much as possible. Trying to get it as loud as possible. And that's, electronic music definitely is a more over-limited style of music. There's nothing wrong with over-limiting a bit. But when you start to reduce the dynamic range of all the instruments a lot, and it's very obvious, and the energy gets sucked out of the track too much, I think that's when you should reduce the limiting. Yes, that's how I feel about it. So again, there's nothing wrong with over-limiting. Just what you have to know when to dial it back, and I think this is the time to dial it back. So really, really simple feedback, but the track is definitely on point. Let the instruments breathe a little bit more. Give them a little more punch. I feel that's what it could really benefit from. So thank you so much, Robert, for sending on in your track. Do appreciate it. How's it going there? Oh my God, I cannot pronounce that. Fablan Ramazg. Fabian Ramazg. That's a good question. Is the limiting in the mastering chain? It sounds like it's in the mastering chain. You could also be doing a lot of compression and limiting in the individual instruments. Good question. Well, I mean, isn't this your track, Robert? so shouldn't you you let us know, is the limiting in the master chain or on the actual instruments? It sounds like it's on the mastering chain. Where do you have the limiting on? Okay, there's some on both. I would take it off the individual instruments and see how that sounds. I would start with that. But really, I would start with taking it off the individual instruments, see how that sounds. I would honestly try both. I would take it off the mastering. Well, I mean, you're always going to have some sort of limiting on the mastering chain, but you can, of course, reduce it. I would try both. I would try taking off the limiting or reducing it on the individual instruments, and then, see how that sounds, and then try just doing it on the mastering, reducing some of the limiting on the mastering. But I think you'll find out that you have to do more on the individual instruments because the other, the limiting you want to have on the master to, really bring the entire volume of the track up. Why do you have limiting on individual instruments? I think that's the question that you should be asking yourself. What's the purpose of that exactly? Do you want to get it louder? Is that the purpose of putting a limiter on the individual instruments? All right, here we go. Moving on up the list here. Mini mailer. And thank you so much, Angel of Flight, for coming on in. Thank you as well again, Fabian, as well as Phantom Freak, Flamingo Leg, V&K Virgo Pros, Ziacot. Thank you guys so much for coming on in. And again, don't forget, we have the free giveaway of the Orchestral Companion Bass. 47 concurrent viewers in this stream. We are giving this away. 46-pound value. I don't know what that is in USD, like $1 million, because the pound is just so much stronger than the USD. So this could be yours. if we get 47 concurrent viewers in this stream. So invite your friends. Let them know of the awesome feedback that they could get. And I should definitely plug in my computer before it dies. That would be smart. All right. Mere
Yeah, yeah. Oh, 6 o'clock, boy, she call me. She want a man, yeah, she needs me. Feeling lonely, and I'm the remedy. She say, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Me got myself in at the taxi. Tell the driver, yes, the right street. On me, man, me got only one thing, yeah. All night to be grinding. Me say, hold on tight, girl. Baby, hold on tight. Come and get a hold on tight. Me feel sugar all night, I'm on my way. I'ma treat you right, girl. Just the way you like. We're gonna take our time and do it right, baby girl, that's my way. This girl is so fine, so fine. She got every man locked down on their knees. And sometimes she gets wild, that's alright. She wants a man. She wants a man. She wants a man. Huh? I'm the one, girl, you know it. No more games, baby girl, let's own this. Give me your loving, just give me your loving, girl. Anytime I'll be there. Me say hold on tight, girl. Baby, hold on tight. Come again, hold on tight. Me feel sugar all night, I'm on my way. I'ma treat you right, girl. Just the way you like. We're gonna take our time and do it right, baby girl, that's my way. This girl is so fine, so fine. She got every man locked down on their knees. But sometimes she gets wild, that's alright. Oh, yeah. This girl is so fine, so fine. She got every man locked down on their knees. But sometimes she gets wild, that's alright. She wants a man. She wants a man. That's right. She wants a man. Mad ice in the area. Pharaoh Ricks money me taking over. Me say, ah, taking over. She wants a man.
Loving the pop track there, Mini Mailer. Loving it, loving it. Lots of funky synths, guitars. Love the vocals over this. Works so well. So any feedback for Mini Mailer, go and put that in the chat. What you liked and what you think can be improved about the song. So, again, overall, killer tune. All the instruments worked really well together. Arrangement was solid. Good length, 3:15. What I think could be improved about the song is I think the kick. The kick could be... The kick felt, some of the rhythms, especially at the end here, didn't feel like it fit with the song, as well as the specific kick sample. I think you could use a completely different kick sample. I don't know, just the timbre of it did not seem to work really well with it at all. The stream is lagging. Well, unfortunately, fuck. It's so hot in this room that, yeah, summer is not a good time to stream. Unfortunately, it's really hot in this room, and when I plug in my laptop to charge, it starts to lag. No, it's the computer. Like I said, when I plug in the laptop, it's just too hot. The computer's too hot. When I'm plugging the computer, it's really hot in this room right now, and if it's charging, it lags a little bit. I had this problem last summer as well. Hopefully it's not too bad. Yeah, sorry if it is. Hopefully it'll get a little bit better. Hopefully in a little bit I'll be able to unplug my computer. Right now it's at 36% charging. And yeah, hopefully hopefully I'll unplug it. I'll see if I can unplug it I'll unplug it when I play the song. When I play everyone's song. Maybe that will be better. Maybe it won't. Is it lagging too much when I talk? Like, how much is it lagging when I talk? Yeah, I think I'll do that. I think I'll unplug it when I play everyone's songs. Okay, yeah, so the kick sample. I definitely change out the kick sample. That would be my suggestion here. And change out the pattern. Change up the pattern a little bit here. Also, I think I can hear more. I want to hear more separation in the instruments that you have. So you have a lot of great synths playing. You have a lot of great guitars playing. And it's just, I would like to hear them more in their own space. And I think more separation between the instruments and brightening some of the instruments would really help here. I know I've sent this tutorial many times before. Many of you have seen it. I know that for a fact. But definitely get a little refresher. Check out this tutorial. That is weird. It's hotter in the Bay than it is in LA. It must be very hot in the Bay then. So yeah, check out this tutorial. Again, the one right above the MooBot there. That is how to EQ a muddy mix. I wouldn't say this mix is necessarily that muddy. You would still hear the instruments. But more separation in the instruments I think is really needed for this track. Like I said, you have a lot of great instruments playing awesome leads, awesome bass line playing, and I just want to hear them be more impactful in the mix. And I think, again, more separation. Instead of going into detail on it, I would suggest checking out that tutorial video, that YouTube video that I just put in the chat. That gives a much more in-depth explanation of it. There you go, just blow on it. It'll help. You know, I wish that were the case, Lecon. Thank you so much for joining, Lecon. Good to see you back in here. We're at 21 viewers. We are 26 away. We are 26 away from the free giveaway. Okay, the video of the stream is lagging. Okay. Damn. Well, at least you can hear me for now. So again, I'll unplug the charger when I play each person's track. That way it won't be, hopefully won't be lagging. Sorry again for that, guys. I'll need to get another fan for the computer. For the computer, yeah. Like, I don't know, Macs, also depending on what specific model you have, Macs don't handle heat very well. I guess all laptops or computers, or electronics for that matter, don't handle heat very well. But yeah, I think Macs more notoriously are known for that. All right, here we go. Moving on up. Phantom Freak, you are up. And again, guys, the Orchestral Companion Brass Virtual Instrument by Sonyvox. Once we hit 47 concurrent viewers in the stream. Invite your friends. Get them on in here. Let's do this.
here for the party. Came here for you.
Nice, Phantom Freak. Loving it, man. Right, G House, UK Garage. Got it going with that, man. Definitely a nice, unique blend of genres there. Man, I'm looking at myself, and this microphone has like turned my V-neck into like a super deep V. I feel like I'm one of those DJs that has that like way too deep V-neck. We've all seen those DJs in the club that their V-neck is like down to like their stomach. That's me right now. Call me Super Deep V. That's my new producer name. It's my new artist name. Super Deep V. All right. So any feedback for Phantom Freak? Go ahead and put that in the chat. What you liked and what you think can be improved about this song. Definitely another club banger. I'll hop right into the feedback here. Just a few mixing tips here. The synth here, I think that could be mixed in a bit better. It just seemed a little bit muddy in the mix. I think, what do I think here could be used? It seemed muddy. It could even be maybe reduced in volume, I think. For it to be, very prominent and big in the mix, I don't think it has to be, it doesn't have to be as loud, I would say. Yeah, I don't think it has to be as loud. I think you could reduce the stereo width of it also, have it be more monocentric. Not necessarily take away all the stereo information of it, just make it more, monocentric. I think that's really where it kind of got muddy, is kind of the sides of that sound. on the sides of the stereo field, that is, got a bit muddy. I mean, it is kind of ish mono. I think maybe just also maybe a little EQing as well. It's really hard to say exactly what, but I think it needs to be clear in the mix, I would say. What else here? The vocal, really small thing here. The vocal there is too loud, it's too muddy, and you can't understand what he's saying. That's fine if that was intended, so you can't understand what he's saying, but it is a bit muddy in the mix. When that sound comes in, when the vocal comes in, it seems a little bit out of place, and I just think it's just the mixing of it, not necessarily the timbre of it, is out of place. So reducing the volume, EQing it to be a little bit less muddy, and if you want the listener to hear what specifically he's saying, then maybe reduce some of the effects that you have on it, so it's more understandable. What else? I like that toned bass line you have. I thought that worked well in the track. Yeah, I think definitely Tom Wilson Music said it needs more variation. I think specifically the lead could have more variation. I think you can get a little bit crazier with it. The second phrase, just adding variation. Yeah, it's something a little bit crazier, something that's like chopped up more, add some more notes, add a slightly different lead sound, just experiment with it. And yeah, I think you're pretty much there with this track though. Very small adjustments and you're good to go here. What sounds do you think could be changed then? There, Tom Wilson Music, like something in the first drop. Yeah, what sounds do you think could be improved? Let's see who we got up next. Again, sorry if it is lagging. I need to get a fan for the computer. It is pretty hot in here. And the computer does not like it. I'll plug it again real quick here. Hell yeah, Brax. Loving the big room. House track. Always club, festival, bangers, these type of tunes. Thanks for sending on in. Do appreciate it. Now, any feedback you have for Brax, go and put that in the chat. What you liked, what you think could be improved about this song. So I'll get right into the feedback here. Definitely the mix is muddy, as Tom Wilson mentions, as well as Lecon. I'll go ahead and put that tutorial again in the chat, the YouTube tutorial of how to EQ a muddy mix. This will help so much. Also, as Tom Wilson put, that the stereo imaging was a bit too wide. You know, when you're making a big festival track, you try and make everything as loud as possible. You limit everything. You stereo spread everything. And you try and pump everything up as much as possible. Unfortunately, when you do this, this does not make the track louder and bigger and larger than life. It does the opposite. Now, specifically when talking about the stereo image, if everything is stereo spread, if most of your elements are stereo spread, there is no reference point to that mono part of the stereo field. There is no contrast. And if there's no contrast, then everything, and if everything is wide, then everything will not appear wide. That's really how it works. So you want to pick specific elements in your mix to be more monocentric, to reduce some of the stereo imaging on some of the elements in your track. Some of the synths, I think, could have some reduction in stereo imaging. Again, you need that contrast. You need to have elements that are in mono, so the elements that are stereo spread appear larger than life, and they appear incredibly wide. So just because you're making a big room house track and you need it to really kill everyone in the club and the festival, does not mean that you want to just pump up the limiter on everything and just stereo spread everything. Think of contrast. Have some sort of dynamic range. That's something I would focus on. Maybe use some new and interesting sounds. It just sounds like any other big room song, in my opinion. Could definitely add in some layering to the specific elements in your track, specifically the synths. Add in some real instruments to those synths playing the same notes. Could add in like a brass sound. Could add in just some crazy instrument. Layer that in. That way it's more unique, has more timbre. Add in different crazy type of percussion sounds. Add in some Foley type effects. You can get a little more creative with it. Add in certain types of glitch effects. Add in certain types of filter, phaser, flanger, chorus type effects. That could be a way to add variation and interest, which is what Lecon was talking about there. What is up, Christian? Thank you so much for coming on in. Good to see you on in here. And again, yes, the limiting too much. There's too much limiting in this track. Reduce it. Again, I know you want it to be a club track, a festival banger, but if you're, clipping and everything is just too smushed into the limiter, then you're going to lose some depth, clarity, and impact for your track, which is definitely what you want, and it's definitely what you want to have translated to your audience. Again, if you're playing this in a festival and it's incredibly limited, over limited to the extreme, then when it goes through the PA system in at the festival, it's also going to go through some extra limiting. So your incredibly over limited track is going to have even more limiting on it, and it's going to destroy the dynamics of the track even more. There's going to be zero dynamic range for your track. Again, the dynamic range being the difference between the softest parts of your mix, the softest sounds in your mix, to the loudest parts of your mix. That dynamic range is completely gone, and that will be a problem, and it will not have the impact that you want it to in the to the audience. Yes, always test your mix in mono as well. This will help understand what really will happen to your track once it's translated to that PA system in a club or in a festival. Again, in a club or festival, your track is converted to mono. Oftentimes when you have a lot of stereo imaging, those elements that have that stereo imaging will sound weaker when they are converted to mono. So again, listen to your track in mono to hear what sounds do kind of flatten out when you convert it to mono. And then I would suggest adding in mono layers. Add in a stereo image layer of your lead sound, add in a mono layer of your lead sound if that sound does seem to become weaker when it is converted to mono. That would be my suggestion. Again, layering. Yes, wide sounds will get completely lost, but again, that doesn't mean you can't have or you shouldn't have, stereo imaged elements in your track. You just need to have the mix be prepared for both sound systems, for all types of sound systems, for ones that are converted to mono and ones that have, stereo information. I use Ableton Flamingo Leg. That's the DAW that I use. No problem, Brax. Thanks again for sending on in your tune. Moving on up here. Arimas. Auric Music. If it will load eventually, maybe. I don't know. Here we go.
How I wish I could turn back time to the days when you were mine. Can't hold back what I'm feeling inside of me. I'm missing you.
Sweet, Auric. Loving the Future House tune. Bounce it, bounce it, bounce it. So any feedback on Auric's Future House track, go ahead and put that in the chat. So I would have loved to hear more of the track. Yeah, more than 50 seconds of the song. Definitely a great start to it. You got the drop down, you got the little build up. I thought the vocals worked really well for the track. I thought the timbre of the bass line worked well. I think overall, let's see, the mix here for the drop. I thought the bass was a bit too loud. It was a little bit too muddy. Just reduce the volume of it. I think that will do just fine. Yeah, just reducing the volume. What else? You could add in more percussion to the song. I think that would work well. You just have the clap, the kick, and the offbeat hi-hat. Adding a little bit more would benefit the track here. A bassline 2D tune, do you think there, Tom Wilson? I don't know if the bass line, that low bass line, that subby bass line sounds almost like it's like stereo spread a little bit. I would keep that more mono. I don't know if that's just it being louder. I just get that feeling that it's kind of stereo spread. But yeah, keep it mono. I always keep elements probably around 250 and below. Always mono, I would say. Well, not always, but I experiment with it. So it depends on the track. I would say, for more tracks like these, for more club tracks that have that low end bass line, I would say maybe keep them more monocentric because they 250 hertz and below in the mono part of the stereo field, having no side information or stereo information, just because it's such a groovy bass line. You want it to be as impactful as possible, and mono equals power, and you can have all the other elements that are above that really set the stage for the stereo part, the stereo dimension of your song. Would add reverb automations and just clean up the sounds in the drop and make it super tight. Would simplify the chords as well, make the bass punchy. Yeah, definitely adding more punch to the bass line. This could be adding in transient shapers, doing some more EQing, again reducing the volume of that like sub bass, compressing the kick and the bass lines together, adding in transient shaping to the bass line or to the group of the kick and the bass line. Little will go a long way here. Just experiment with it. Again, that is the meat of your song. That is the main driving force of your song, that kick, that bass line. And yeah, definitely making it tighter and, adding interest with the reverb automation could really help in this. Sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Thank you again for sending on the track there, Arik. Hopefully the feedback helped. Thank you all for giving your feedback as well. All right, next up, we have Reiko.
See the light from sunrise, feeling the love, feeling the highs tonight. Let's take our time, there's no need to rush this moment of life. So come alive with me tonight, feel the rise, your body lights. Come alive with me tonight, feel the rise, oh come alive. See the spark in your eyes, looks just like the stars from where you are. I know this love will see us through the years we make. Here's hoping you'll stay. Let's take our time, there's no need to rush this moment of life. So come alive with me tonight, feel the rise, your body lights. Come alive with me tonight, feel the rise, oh come alive. If we should end this, know you have every piece of me, and all our memories, they will never fade. You'll see, you can't take back what you said. Oh no, and all the love we won't ever forget. Let's take our time, there's no need to rush this moment of life. So come alive with me tonight, feel the rise, your body lights. Come alive with me tonight, feel the rise, oh come alive.
We get the golf clap there, Reiko. Loving the tune, man. Nice little poppy electronic track there. So any feedback for Reiko? Got some good feedback already in there. Go ahead and put that in the chat. What you liked, what you think could be improved. Definitely the vocal needs some improvement in the track. Yeah, just overall, it just felt like it was just recorded, no processing was put on it, and it was thrown in the track. As Music by Zen said, it could definitely have some more takes as well to tighten up the vocal. It was out of time, it wasn't compressed, it wasn't EQ'd, there wasn't really, yeah, it just needs to be worked on a lot. As far as, the idea of the song definitely works really well. All the instruments, the guitar, the bass line, groovy percussion, the arrangement, everything worked well together. So nothing really out of place except the vocal a little bit. I'm trying to think. As far as improving the vocal, have more takes, combine the takes together to create more thickness, compress them, as is a little bit all over the place. Okay, maybe use a future bass pattern for the drums. It definitely help. Yeah, a little more variation. Yeah, it definitely did get a little stagnant at times. Could definitely add in more Foley samples to give that more organic vibe. I think that would work really well for this track. Also, more vocal effects. So after you process the vocals, add in even vocal chops. Chop up the vocal, give more interest, reverbs, delays. Really play with those. Give more effects. Those electronic pop tracks work really well with vocal effects and vocal chops. So really get creative with the vocals, as you really have a lot of flexibility and can add a lot of character, interest to the track with those effects. What else? Tom Wilson says, add a slightly gritty mid-bass layer as well to fill out the drop. Could also help a lot there. Something in the 250 to like 600 hertz range could really help. Distorted, really thicken it out in that, along with the vocals thickened out. You'll definitely have a very full sounding drop. What else? Yeah, that's really where I think it could be fixed and improved. It was the idea is definitely solid, so definitely there's nothing wrong with the idea that you have. Yeah, dynamic compression could really help there. What do you mean by dynamic compression, though, Buffalo Val? I think you mean dynamic EQing or multiband compression. Either one would work. I would say go with multibanding for now. It's maybe a bit easier to just have specific blocks of bands that work well together. But overall, I would start with compression first and foremost, just overall compression of the vocal, and then worry about the multi-band compression with having specific parts of the vocal play too loud. So first put on the compressor. You can even slap on some slight guitar amp to get some more grit on some certain parts, especially during the drop. Yes, definitely. Could even throw on a guitar amp on your vocal chop. Oh, you're talking about the vocals, Music by Zen, I take it. To put on in certain parts for the vocal, right? Or just some other instrument, like other instruments in general. Put on a guitar amp. Yeah, definitely the vocal would really benefit from a guitar amp. All right, so hopefully that feedback helped there, Reiko Tuming. Thank you so much for sending on in your tune. Thank you, thank you. Thank ya, thank ya. Okay, moving on up the ladder. Reiko, next is Astrowave. If it will load. We can do it. I have faith. We could do it. All right, Astro Wave. Loving the synth wave. It's all about that wave today. All about that wave. Especially the waves of heat that are coming into this freaking room. So hot. So any feedback for Astro Wave, go ahead and put that in the chat. What you liked, what you think could be improved about the song. Okay, so definitely a few things want to mention about the track. Definitely Tom Wilson music. The kick has no body at all. When the kick felt in, it felt... yeah, it just didn't have any body, and it wasn't providing that low-end weight that you need the kick to, especially in synthwave, where you want that really big kick. So the timbre of the kick sounded good, just there was no body. I don't know if you're doing any EQing to it to take out the body, but definitely remove that EQing that takes out that body, or look for a new kick sample that has body for it, or layer in a sample that has body and provides that weight and power to carry the song. The track doesn't really progress anywhere, in my opinion. It's very stagnant and boring. New melodic and percussive elements need to be added, changed to catch the listener's attention. Yes, you are taking all my points of feedback here, Tom Wilson Music. That was the second thing I was going to talk about. Definitely, it was a bit stale. The mix, the arrangement, as far as the musical ideas that you have, that really needs to be changed. Again, you know, the bass line especially, you know, was just, it felt like it was dragging on the entire time. I think overall, so as far as creating variation, here's one quick way to create variation to your specific elements in your track, right? So you have your bass line, let's say, copy that over 3 times. 3 different MIDI clips with that bass line. The first copy, create a noticeable change in that bass line. Actually, wait, copy it over once. Copy it over once, create a noticeable change in that bass line. Could be a specific pattern, could be adding a new note. Just one change that is noticeable. Then copy that MIDI clip over and make another noticeable change. And you can do this 3 times. Just copy the note over, make a change, copy that MIDI clip over, make a change, copy that MIDI clip over, and make another change. That way you have a bunch of different clips that you can interchange throughout the track. And it's just a quick way to get variation, because a lot of producers have troubles with coming up with different variations, and this very systematically helps you get over that, I guess, that creative hurdle a bit. And by doing a systematic approach to it, just one change, then copy it over another change without really focusing too much on, oh my god, what am I going to change it to? And again, do this for all the instruments in your tracks, the main elements in your track, and this could help generate new ideas, new musical ideas for your song. Let's see. What else we got? I want some more plucky sounds in this, since a lot of the sounds have very long attack, like maybe some bells or something, a little crisp as well. Yes, definitely something more in the high end. I don't think the piano quite fit that well into synthwave. I think just a more synthy type bell sound, I think, would benefit this track the most. So definitely look into that. Definitely the synth needs to progress or modulate towards something else. Variation in the sound would help. Yes, definitely Buffalo Val. And so yeah, I would say that's where you should start. Really, just the variations. You know, it's a good start, and you have a lot of good sounds that have good timbres to them, and then go well together. Maybe reduce the length of the track as well. 4:52 seems a bit long, but that's definitely where you should start. And I'd love to hear this in future live streams, Astro Wave. You know, again, if you get any feedback on your music in this live stream, I would love to hear it in the subsequent live streams. That way we can all hear the progress that you have made, and just really, see the progression of the song. That'd be great. So thank you so much again, Astro Wave. And that is actually going to do it for this week's live stream, everyone. We are cutting it a bit short this week. Sorry about that. For everyone who sent me a track that did not get it on the live stream, you will be hearing back from me in email. I will give you feedback on your track in email. So again, if you sent it your track, I do apologize. I will, again, be able to give you feedback through email. And that is a few of you here. So again, I do apologize. We are cutting the stream a bit short here. How's it going, 6'9" Odessa? I am sorry, but the stream is over for this week. Again, we are cutting it a bit short. 6'9" Odessa, you can send in your track to me at the Daniel@SoundShockAudio.com email, and I will give you feedback through the email, though. So all is not lost. Unfortunately, we did not give away the orchestral companion, the brass virtual instruments by SonyVox. We did not hit 47 concurrent viewers in the live stream. I am sorry. We did not get there this week, but we do have subsequent weeks to make this happen. Again, we'll be running live streams in we'll be doing free giveaways in every live stream. So do not worry. And again, I'm sorry about the lagging that we had here. My computer is overheating. Every time I plug in the charger, it starts to heat up. I've had this problem every summer so far when live streaming. There doesn't seem to be a way around it except unplugging my computer. So I'll have to unplug and plug in my computer. Unfortunately, I didn't have a full battery throughout this live stream, so I'll make sure next week to have a full battery. That way, when I unplug and plug it, we'll have enough to last through the 2 hours. So again, I want to thank you all for joining the live stream. I do appreciate it. And if you want to contact me, if you have any music production questions about the live stream, questions about SoundShock Audio, you can message me at Daniel@SoundShockAudio.com or any of the SoundShock social media, and I'd be happy to reply to you guys and converse with you guys. As again, this SoundShock Audio project is to help out music producers all across the world. So any questions you guys have, I'd be happy to answer. And I want to thank you all for the returning faces into the live stream and some of the new faces into the live stream. 6'9" Odessa, 6'9", Angel of Light, Bang Die Alive, Buffalo Val, Commander Root, Fabi,